You've probably heard those epic crowd shout along vocal moments in your favorite rock and pop songs, the kind that sound like a stadium full of people singing in unison. They add energy, scale, and drama to a track, right? But you're probably thinking, I don't have a crowd, so I can't pull that off. But what if I told you you don't actually need a crowd at all? That's right. With one person, one mic, and about 30 minutes, you can create those massive crowd or gang vocals that will take your track from good to unforgettable. Step one, set up your session. So as you can see here, I've got a session open in Ableton Live. What I'd recommend is I wouldn't try and record the crowd vocals in a busy track because you're going to be adding loads and loads and loads of tracks. What I like to do is bounce the part of the song I'm going to sing over out of the production that you're doing and start a new session with it like this. So you can see here in the top pink track, I've got the audio from my track. I've set the locators around that track. So what that now means, I've created a range and this track will loop around that section over and over again. What I also do is I record a MIDI track, which helps later when we do the pitch shifting, but that is optional. Step two, pick voice one. Now this process I'm going to show you involves you singing in a load of different voices. So you're mimicking different sounds, and that's how you make a whole crowd sound come together. But the first thing you do is sing in your normal singing voice. What I would do, go back to my session, and what I would do here is I would record and do a loop record. So what that means is it keeps recording round the looped section that you've set up. And what you just then do is sing your vocal part 5 times over. And that's the trick, 5 times. You don't need to be super accurate. All you need to do is land 5 takes that are in the same voice. And then step 3, you're going to process that first voice. And I'm going to show you this in a bit more detail because you're going to do this in the same way for each voice you do. I'm not going to show you each time, but if I show you with voice 1, then you can understand exactly what you need to do. So back in my session, what you'll see here, if I open up, I've called it Ollie High because I've got quite a high voice. I've got the 5 tracks that I've recorded, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've put them all on separate tracks so I can process them separately. But as you can see here, I have grouped them together in a group track called Ollie High. So what that means is I can adjust the volume for this one grouped track and that adjusts all of them. So you can do it differently in other DAWs by routing the 5 tracks into a track. But that's quite important because that then allows you to have much faster adjustment. And what you do with panning is you pan the first one hard left, the second one hard right, the third one is kind of mid left, the fourth one is mid right, and then the final one is bang down the middle. So they're all panned differently, they're all routed into a single track. So let me just quickly play you what this sounds like so you can hear it. So that's my first take. Now step 4 is to repeat this process. And you do the same thing again with different types of voice. Go back to my session and you can see that I've got Ollie High, I've got Ollie Low, I've got Choral High, so that's when I was actually pretending to be an opera singer. That's hilarious. Then I've got Pirate Low, where I've pretended that I'm a pirate. Then I've got Baby High, where I've pretended that I'm a baby. What you're trying to do basically there is replicate the kinds of voices that are in your crowd. And there are some good singers in that crowd, and there are some absolutely terrible singers in that crowd. So you replicate that process around a number of different voices, and you'll end up with a number of grouped tracks, all panned nicely, that you can adjust the mix of. Now, there is actually a further step you can take, which I like to do, which is where you do some pitch shifting. So let me show you that quickly here. So what I've done is, as you can see, I've created this MIDI track here. And what I've done in the MIDI track is I can pitch shift it up or down, 3, 4, 5, 6 semitones, whatever you want. And you sing along in that new key. And that means you access a different part of your vocal range. And again, you can do that as many times as you want. The point is, once you've sung the different parts in a different key, you then use the audio pitch shift in Ableton to bring you back down to the original key. Let me show you what that sounds like. I'm just going to quickly turn off all the pitch shifters so you can hear what it sounded like when I did it first. So the tracks in my normal voice sound like this. Now I'm going to switch all the pitch shifters back in. Now listen to this. Now check this out. Objectively, that sounds terrible, but what you'll notice is that the performance of my voice, are much more like a child's. So by blending that in carefully, you get to replicate what it's like to have a child in your crowd. And then you can do the same thing by pitch shifting down. Check this out. You can hear the format differences. So the pitch shifting I quite like, because what it enables you to do is to get a different type of sound and almost person in your crowd. So you've replicated singing like a pirate, singing like a baby, but by putting the pitch shifting up and pitch shifting down, you've accessed some new voices and they'll blend really nicely to make a crowd vocal. Step 6, put it all together. Now what you now need to do is you've got the different vocals in your session. Now you need to mix them in to taste. Now what this will mean is you put more of the better sounding vocals in and you mix lower some of the bad sounding vocals like the pirates or maybe some of the pitch shifted options, but finding the right balance between all of them. And this is a little bit of trial and error. You can come up with a really great crowd sounding vocal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all together and I'm going to play it for you so you can hear how those crowd vocals sound together. Following that process, it took me less than 30 minutes to record. And I want you to notice here that I haven't used any reverb or any EQ and it already sounds amazing. So when you come to use this in your production, whack a load of reverb on there, EQ it to taste, and this will sound huge, but it already sounds good without any of that processing already. So you may have assumed that you can only record crowd vocals if you have a crowd. There are a number of other rules like that you may be working under, and I've created a video that will hopefully help you understand how you can break those rules and make even better music.